Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Spice Cup. It is the 7th round, and my opponent for this round was named Jonathan Chen. Jonathan's like 14 or maybe 13, 14, and I actually played Jonathan. Wait a minute. We usually do it like this. And I actually played Jonathan. What is with that lighting? We've never had this problem. Oh. Well, whatever. You see the beautiful stuff. It's going to be a fantastic recap. This is the most insane game I've ever played. I think like top 2, top 3 easily. Yeah, so this game is crazy. And Jonathan Chen, I've actually played in Las Vegas in the first round in 2019. And he's very strong. He was at the World Cadet when I was in China. I've played now multiple people who were on that Chinese trip. And Jonathan Chen is one of those people. Eric Zhao in the last tournament, and Brian Xie. So here we go. He plays d4, and he actually plays knight f3 or knight c3. I was expecting knight c3, but he did this. And I decided not to play a Queen's Indian because it's too solid, and instead I went for this. And it's actually funny because he's played this himself in the first round of this tournament. And one of his earlier opponents, actually the guy who beat me, Julian Perleco, played this against him. So this has been on his mind. And I was expecting e4, at which point I was going to play some gnarly preparation, but he played queen a4 check, which is a move, but I've never seen this move. Now I've seen this move in different positions, and I was thinking I should just go knight d7 and get something like this, b5, bishop b7, or c6, which actually forces him to take, because I'm threatening to go b5. This move doesn't actually, this move does not actually threaten b5 because my rook is pinned. I can't take it. So, whatever, I decided to go for this. I wasn't super thrilled with the position because I don't really know it, but I tried to play normal moves, and I thought that he should go bishop g5, at which point I would like go out here, but he did this. And I did this, and then he did this. And then I realized what his point is. So if I trade dark squared bishops, he plays knight e4, and this is just about as bad as getting a root canal without any novocaine. Well, what I was going to do is move my queen out of the way, but I realized he can just go back. And I was like, crap. My options are taking this knight, which I really didn't want to do. I thought my knight was good here. And here's the problem: if I go to b6, he's going to take me. That's the problem. He's going to take me, which you don't really think about. Because now this is a totally frozen structure. My bishop sucks. Or I go this way and just give him a big center pawn. He'll play a 4 f5 in the future. His pawn can't jump over his knight, in case you didn't know that. Welcome to Gotham Chess Recaps. Haven't said that in a while. So I went back, and my logic was, well, he'll probably repeat, and then I'll just go queen d7. And then he just did this, and I was like, oh yeah, he doesn't have to repeat at all. I guess he can just say that in this position, this is a useful move. I just didn't really, I didn't think that, hit the microphone, sorry. I didn't really think that that was that useful of a move. I thought he might repeat. And I'm a high-rated player, very respectable international master. Actually, not really. And then he did this, and I'm like, okay, well, now we have to go for c5. So I played this, he did this, I did this. We're having a huge battle for the c5 square. And he goes queen c2, and I'm like, God damn it. Because now if I play rook c8 and I'm a move away from doing this, he just comes here. This structure is terrible for black. It's so depressing. What is this bishop doing? This bishop rented an apartment deliberately with no windows. It's not like they even put, construction up afterward. This dude just knew there were no windows. This is terrible. It's terrible. Completely lost game. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't do that. So I'll go knight b4. Knight b4 was an interesting move. I thought his best move, he of course should not trade because that just helps me develop. I thought this was his best move. And try to kick me out, and then I would have to do this, and like total pandemonium breaks loose. Like he takes, bishop d3, wild position. But then he did this, and I was like, I don't think that's a very good move because I just have a5. Now I'm getting some play. I mean, a4, then c5 in the future. Then I realized I'm a moron, which is not my first time realizing. This is what I didn't realize, folks. Now, I don't actually know if he would have gone for this. But this is just the beginning of this game's insanity. I was going to meet a3 with the move a4, which prevents his queen from going back to the normal square. So he would need to go back here. And then I was thinking to go knight a6 and play for c5. That was my intention. However, I realized that he can sack his effing queen. And the engine doesn't even think that that black is any better here. This is completely nuts. This is why I didn't go for this, because I actually thought in the long run I would lose this game. Because I was like, how do I ever develop? I mean, his knight just lands right. Like, what do I do? This is completely nuts. Completely nuts. And so I didn't go for this. This is literally the reason why I didn't go for this. I went here, and I realized it's even worse than I thought, because he just goes bishop e3, which was my knight's entire job on d5, which actually is a reason the engine wants to repeat moves here. Oh, that would be nice. But the engine thinks that repeating moves here is the best. You know, I can't make 15 move draws, like, unless I'm playing a GM in the first round of my Charlotte tournament. So I would settle for the strategically borderline losing position for the memes and the content. And I played h6, I played bishop e7, and finally he delivered this knight to the d6 square. Now, this has been possible for some time, but before he got fully developed, you didn't really want to send this pawn in here. Because, you know, when the king is in the middle, it's going to be tough to defend this pawn forever, and you know, I'm always on the verge of maybe breaking through on the queen side. But white is much, much better. And if you're like over 2,000, you're allowed to say that white is winning. If you're below 2,000, you would lose this with both colors. So please do not try to put an evaluation on this position. Just kidding. You're amazing. So I castle, and he goes queen d2. And now it hits me that along with this thorn in my ass, he's going to sacrifice on h6 and probably just checkmate me. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to lose this game. I'm going to play my best, but I'm going to lose. And then I'm going to, you know, withdraw from the tournament. And as punishment, I'm going to close all the curtains in my room and just stare at the wall in darkness until my flight tomorrow. That was going to be my punishment. So I played knight e8. He took, and then I realized it's not checkers. I just realized it in the 7th round of my chess tournament. I don't actually have to take. See, in checkers, you have to take and just allow yourself to get bludgeoned. I can actually take this way. So I can take the pawn and just leave the bishop. Like, actually, I'm good. You know, and if he shoves it down my throat, he actually has no attack this way because his queen doesn't get in. So he went back. I played f6 because I needed to kick his queen out. And I played rook c8 with the intention of playing c5. Now, at this point, the way I was thinking I was going to need to consolidate was like, if he landed his bishop here, which I think he literally played right now, at some point I'm going to have to lose my rook for this bishop. Because the truth is, he has a very easy game plan of just rotating his pieces over to my king side and just beating me to death. And I don't really like being beaten to death. I can't say I've ever experienced that before. So I decided to play knight f5, and now he went after my e6 pawn, which I promptly defended by counterattacking his bishop first, counterattacking his other bishop second, and then defending my pawn. And here I thought, you know, he's going to play queen e4, I was going to maybe play g5 to cover getting checkmated. And, you know, just so you're aware, if we trade queens, he has no advantage anymore. Very, very minimal, I think, compared to what it is in the game. And, you know, he played bishop g6, and now I'm like, okay, well, if I try to save my rook by playing rook f8, you know, knight h4, queen h5, or queen e4, queen h4, like, I resign. So I said, okay, Mr. Jonathan Chen. And by the way, you should know at this point, he has about maybe 2-3 minutes on the clock, and I have like 10. So I'm playing quickly, and I'm also seeing that, you know, he's a little bit nervous. He's he's beating the biggest chess YouTube channel. He knows that a recap is coming with his name on it, and he wants to like bring it home. I don't know, man. I'm just saying absolute crap at this point. And he, you know, I let him take my rook, and he doesn't because he wants checkmate. Greedy dude. And I'm like, no, dude, really, please take my rook. So he takes my rook. And then he plays rook c3. Again, he has about a minute on the clock, and I'm really going full Yugi darts episode where, you know, Yugi basically surrenders. I'm like, all right, like, it's over. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna survive this. And then I find what I like to call cocoon defense. Queen f7, rook d8, counterattacking. Here, I think he might have been able to get away with some bishop a5, like probably just going for an endgame. But he just went all in, and I'm like, cocoon defense. Everything in my position is in the ugliest possible situation. But if he plays queen e6 and just tries to gobble, I have take, and king f7, which attacks this and this. Actually, I still thought he had some decent chances here. But he went queen g4, and I played bishop c8. I actually thought queen g4 was a mistake because it did nothing. It actually created no threat, which allowed me to create a threat of playing e5, for example, h3, e5, and I'm not even sure I'm worse anymore because I'm going to win a pawn back. But that's how quickly it can turn if you defend well. Like, I'm trying to keep as many pieces on the board as possible in a bad position. I'm losing. but I'm trying to defend, and he has to beat me, and I'm playing, you know, the fact that he's slowly running out of time. It's move 40. So he plays queen f4, which is a blunder. It's a blunder because now his bishop's locked in with me, Rorschach style. We're going to go for as many references as possible. By the way, if you think this recap is anywhere close to over, it's not. We just hit the halfway point. This game was like 83 moves. This is move 42. I told you, insane game. So, he goes bishop g5. Now if I take this, I lose my queen. Last time I checked, my name is not Alexander Bota, so I played the move knight to d6, and he played the move rook to h3, which I expected. At this point, we're both running very low on time. So I would say just keep in mind that the rest of this game was played by two people who, every time they make a move, gain 30 seconds, but have less than a minute and 30 seconds to begin with. So rook h3. I move my king out of the way. He tries to sacrifice the bishop by opening up my king. If I take this, he plays queen h6, rook g3, and I'm actually not so sure I'm winning. In fact, the engine says I'm losing. So very tricky play by him to try to sack the bishop by opening up my king. I say, no, 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 no. Knight f5. Turns out that it was better to move this knight because of this attack on d4, but I suck ass. So I played knight f5. He proceeds to give me back the bishop the other way. And I didn't want to take because I thought that after takes, queen f6, like, there's a big attack. I really didn't like this. The engine plays knight f5 and is like, your rook is protected, there's no threat. I'm not a computer, and if I was, we wouldn't have made it 45 moves into this game. So I went back to e7, and actually, I thought he had nothing better than to repeat moves, and then I would put the right knight. Then he did this. I was like, shit, okay, I take. Now, rook h8, king h8 doesn't win a queen because that's protected. So, he plays queen takes g5, I play knight to f5, and I realize I've just made a horrible mistake because he can rattle off the move g4. And if I cannot bring a knight back and successfully block his rook, then he is just simply going to take and just go belligerently in with all his pieces. And he has no back rank problems, and he's just completely attacking me. So I play knight takes d4, he plays knight to e5, I play queen f6 offering a queen trade, he plays queen h5 setting up queen h8 is made in one, but basically the attack on the h file. Now, I could play this, I thought this was losing because of either rook h6 or queen h8. This looked far too scary. I did not want to open up my king with that little time on my clock. So I played king to f8, saving queen h8, knight g8. I still think this is bad. I still think it's the right way to go. But at this point, he has one and only one way to win the game, and it has to do with his f-pawn, apparently, but I haven't let the engine run in full depth, which still thinks this position might be 0-0-0, at least the browser-based stockfish. Now, he plays rook e4. I'm like, uh-oh. Oh crap, he wants to play rook f4, but not right now. See, if rook f4, queen f4, there's always knight g6 stuff, like queen h8, knight g8, knight g6. He's gonna deflect this knight and then fork me. However, I have rook f4, knight to e2 check. So that's always my saving grace. But if he plays this first, now rook f4, there is no knight e2 check because this is completely covered. And if I take, he has check here, here. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm losing my queen. So when he played rook e4 and I blitzed out rook d5 and he played g5 and I played this, I'm like, oh my god, it's over. Oh my god, it's over, it's over, it's over, and then it hit me. I can sack my queen, and now I have 3 pieces for it. But he tricked me. He played check first, and naturally you would think, oh, I'm out of the woods, easy peasy, king f7. King f7 loses to rook h7, and there's no way to stop queen g7, queen e7 mate without massive material loss. I'm like, holy crap, oh, I got it. Knight g8. If rook h7, I have check here, and something like here, here, and there's no mate. There's no mate. It's all covered, and if queen g8, queen f8, I'm surviving. Oh my god. Knight g8. So I play knight g8. He then proceeds to take my queen. I go here, and he blunders. Well, I thought it was a huge mistake. He blundered a pawn with check. He can't block with the rook. Knight e2 is a fork. I play c5, and I'm like, uh-oh, his queen is coming in. I need to consolidate everything immediately, make sure everything is protected. Rook d5, queen f4, king e8. Everything is protected. Everything is protected. Everything is accounted for. Everything except the g7 pawn, but screw that pawn. It doesn't need protection. It's fine. Rook c3. At this point, I think I'm winning. And I blitz this move instantly. Because rook c5, look at this. Rook c5, bishop a6, king g1 is met with knight f3 mate. Rook c5, bishop a6, king g1 is met with rook g5 and then mate. And king g2 is also met with rook g5. One problem. When rook c5 comes, it defends g5. but I don't have any time on the clock, so I just flip b4. He goes here. He blitzes this move. I'm like, yeah. I got a little bit lucky there. He didn't win my c5 pawn. So I give him a check, and now I think I'm winning again. In a move, I think I'm winning. Right here. Right here. I think he blundered. You know what I thought he blundered? I thought he blundered rook g5. He can't go over here. Rook g5, rook g3, bishop b7 check so that my bishop is not hanging. He goes king f1, and I play knight f5. Forking the queen, forking the rook. Nice. There it is. Boom. We got... He can pin me. He can pin my knight to my king. Oh my god, he can pin me. Now, if we trade rooks, I'm not sure I'm winning at all. I don't think 3 pieces can beat a queen, especially 2 knights. If it was 2 bishops and a knight, maybe. Believe it or not. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep my rook on the board for winning chances. Rook h5. Okay, very clear. You know, he wants to defend this. I'm going to throw my rook over here and attack this so that he takes, and then I take. Except here I blundered something so vile. So I hate engines. You scumbag engine. Here I blundered rook takes g7. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I didn't see that. If knight g7, I lose my king, and if king g7, queen g4. I didn't see that. All right, like, I don't care. Stop. It's move 72. I have no time on the clock. My heart is like 130 beats per minute, but you would have seen it. Yeah, you would have. Yeah. You know who you are. You would have seen it. Oh, it's crazy that Gotham didn't see that. Queen takes a4, rook takes h2. Now we're winning. And at this point, I need to coordinate my pieces in the right way. And I realize exactly how to do that. Bishop d5. I need to make sure my pawn is defended, and I'm going to drop my knight into d4. And that's exactly what I go for. I go here, I go here, I go here, I go here, I go here. The optimal configuration. Look at this armada of pieces where every piece is protected. Now, queen b7 is impossible, and even if it was, I have king f6 and this is protected. And now we will slowly take away all the squares from the pieces. But the game is not yet over, because here, I thought I could play bishop f3, rook f4, rook d2, rook d1. He resigns, except I lose here. Rook f3, knight f3, queen b7. It is never too late to blunder and lose the game. It's never too late. So I was like, oh, crap. How do I win this? Oh, I know how I win this. I got to give my king a turn. And then I got to take away f4 from him. And then I got to go here. And he has nothing else but trying to advance. Rook g1 is possible. But he gave me back the exchange because he really doesn't have any moves. And then here I played rook d2 with this in mind. And also something else. Something else which ends the game. He played queen to b6, looking for just some stuff over here. And black wins the game with bishop to g2 check. And wherever the king moves, it's mate on f3. This was one of the most insane games I have ever been a part of. And the last 30 moves of it were played with literally no time at all. At all. Not literally, though, because that's not actually what the word literally means. We did have some time on the clock. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a game in an hour and a half. I'm going to go prepare. I'm going to go rest a little bit. You know the drill. You're awesome. All right, I'll see you for the 8th round.